Hey, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This is the show all about farmers markets, how to increase your market business success, and in the current climate, how to maximize safety while providing people with fresh food. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a farmer or food producer selling at farmers markets, this is the podcast for you. On today's episode of Tent Talk, we're talking about markets reopening, cities reopening, and how those two things affect how we operate. Hi, I'm one of your hosts, Brijet Myers. I've spent years as an on-site and off-site farmers market manager and am the education coordinator at Farmers Market Pros.
And I'm Catt White, Director of San Diego Markets, still an active farmers market manager in these interesting times, founder of Farmers Market Pros, and host of the Farmers Market Pros community.
And I'm co-host Justine Marzoni-Mead, Tent Talk producer and info booth lady for San Diego Markets.
And so much more. Web designer.
I do it all.
Checklist maker, mask
We have a
maker.
very small staff right now. We're all expanding our levels of experience and expertise.
Well, welcome back to Tent Talk, everyone. We are talking a lot lately about the current public health emergency and how it's affected our businesses as farmers, food makers, and farmers market managers. And we do know that our business concerns are secondary to the bigger issues of keeping people alive, but we're leaving that topic to Dr. Fauci.
Is Dr. Fauci still there?
I don't know.
I hope so.
I think
We're leaving that topic to people who have medical degrees.
Yeah, epidemiologists as opposed to Facebook readers. What do you think?
Lay off the YouTube videos, people. Not our area of expertise, but what is our area of expertise is farmers market operations.
Farmers market operations, food safety is part of that.
Yep.
And so most of us come from some background that has at least a little bit of food safety history. So I think we're used to the idea that washing your hands regularly is a good thing.
Yes.
You know, our chef and food maker friends keep saying, were these people not washing their hands before?
They are grossed out by us.
No, they weren't.
We were not.
Yeah. So basic things, washing your hands, masks, good idea.
Good idea.
I just saw.
Why not?
Yeah. So this is going to be kind of a casual discussion because so many cities are now moving into the next phase of either completely reopening, all bets are off, or even here in California where we've been pretty cautious up till now, we're moving quickly through phase 1, phase 2, into phase 2, even, dipping our toes in phase 3, more slowly than some people think we should, and way faster than other people think we should. So a lot of markets are reopening for the season in different parts of the country, either under severe restrictions or just pretty much as a free-for-all. So we're just going to chat about that a little. And how does that make us feel? We're on the front lines. Are we comfortable with that?
I think we can't please everyone. That's my like kind of observation.
What was our old motto? We can't piss off all of the people all of the time, but we'll do our best.
That is how it feels every day.
Yeah. So either people are feeling good about everybody wearing a mask, or they're feeling hostile about that because that restricts their freedom in some way.
Yes.
And so balancing those things out, we tend to err on the side of safety over here. We don't feel like it hurts you to wear a mask. If you don't think it makes any difference, that's okay. Wear it anyway. It's not going to hurt you to wear it, right? So we're going with better safe than sorry on our side. But I know some markets are not. There was just a big discussion in another group that I'm in this morning about, are you making your customers wear masks? Are you making your vendors wear masks? Most people seem to be in agreement either via state guidelines and regulations or just their own sense of let's keep people safe, that farmers and vendors have to wear masks and the staff has to wear masks. There's a big divergence of opinion on whether to require customers, recommend that customers wear masks, or not worry about customers at all, which seems like we're keeping the customers safe, but they're out there infecting each other or our farmers, which to me doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm on the side of making sure everybody wears a mask. Again, better safe than sorry.
Yeah. And I think this might fall along the lines, we were talking a little about this last week about how COVID has kind of given us the ability to reassess what our mission is, why are we here, and at least for San Diego Markets, it's because we believe in that we are a grocery store, that we're essential workers. And some markets, they just want people to come in. They just want shoppers to be able to come in. But for us, we don't just want people wandering around our markets. We want people there to shop and to buy items and to support our farmers. And if wearing a face mask is going to keep people from just coming in and cruising through the market and looking around, that's kind of okay.
Yeah.
Typically, if people are there to actually grocery shop, they don't mind so much to put on a face mask.
I think that's true too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, because they're doing that to go to Trader Joe's or going to Vons. So perhaps some of those markets that they just want people in the market, they don't care about making them wear a mask because they just want them to show up, which really isn't necessarily the mission that we want for our markets.
And I have to say that's actually, I understand that, because for us, it used to be higher traffic count, the better. We would suggest that everybody come to the market thinking that it's a numbers game. And if you have a whole bunch of people there, chances are each of those people is going to buy something and you make more sales. We've actually been really surprised to find out that with much, much lower shopper count, partly because we're required to limit the number of people on any block to 50, we thought, oh, we're taking out 90% of our traffic. Sales are going to be awful. Is it even going to be worth it for the farmers and grocery vendors to come to the market? And what we're finding out is, no, it's not affecting our sales much. It's actually, surprisingly enough, 90% less people. Some of our farmers are doing record sales, and the people that are down maybe 10 or 20%. So it's been amazing that if you limit the number of people in the market and you make it challenging enough in terms of following the rules that only the people who are serious about grocery shopping come out, you still make sales. So, it's not the festival side, the fun side, that's really making your vendors money, unless, of course, you're a vendor that's geared to festivity. So we don't have prepared food and beverage vendors right now, and I think they'd be missing out with the fewer number of people, because it takes them longer to prep on site, and they're looking for impulse buyers. I think that might be the case for many of our non-food vendors as well, but those folks aren't at our market right now, so that doesn't make a difference. It's, sheer numbers, you're right, is not necessarily the best thing. What you want is the best number of shoppers, not necessarily just the best number of humans or the largest number of humans.
Yeah, like you're not going to wander in. Like before, I would just stop by the grocery store to get like a bag of chips and some lemonade and a banana, right? Just, missing a couple things at home. No one's going to the grocery store and waiting in that long line to go in and get 3 items, So kind of the farmers markets, if we have to meter people in, I wouldn't imagine people would want to wait in that long line, go through all the rules, wear their mask while they're shopping, to come in and just get one or two items or just wander through. So what we're seeing now is people have a list. They have a bunch of reusable bags and they're there to fill them up, to get their week's worth of groceries, to be prepared and really stock up, which is helping the sales for the vendors and the grocery vendors that we have on site. So it's really working out, and that's a good thing that's helping us right now during this time, and making it worth it for the vendors and farmers to come out to the market.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it just feels like with so many other things opening, with them talking about, the beaches maybe reopening soon and more people in the parks and possible dining, we may find out whether or not people are going to continue to take that seriously. We definitely last weekend saw a few more people that waited in long lines to come in and just wander through. It's something that we hadn't seen in weeks and weeks, but we did see people walking through and coming out without a full bag. That was surprising. And I'm afraid this coming weekend, and you guys are going to be hearing this on Monday, but we're talking about this right before Memorial Day weekend. It could be really crazy. We'll report back next week and see how that went.
Yeah.
I think one thing that we did last Saturday that was really helpful, that we can continue to do as things reopen and maybe the lines get longer, is going through the line and talking to people, asking them if they're there for something specific. Just because we have 3 blocks and there's an entrance on each block and there's a line on each block, and just going through and asking people, hey, what are you here for? What are you buying today? What are you looking for? And kind of redirecting, if one line was really long, letting people know, oh, also there's eggs on the next block, or there's honey on the next block, just letting people know. And it was interesting last week. I was asking people, hey, what are you here for? Are you shopping for something specific? Can I help you? And a lot of people are just like, no, just pure browsing. And I don't know, I just want to be like, don't browse here.
Get out of
here. Looking at a magazine at a convenience store, it's like, we're not a library, So it'll be interesting to see if that continues, or if as restaurants start to reopen, if people are cooking as much as at home, and maybe they won't be grocery shopping as much. So there's a lot of unknown variables. It'll be interesting to see how they interact in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Working the line, you're right, is so valuable. I was talking to people in line and they'd say, oh, I'm here for a panini. Oh, well, sorry, we don't have any prepared food or beverage here. Okay, how about a crepe? No.
Same category.
Still no food or beverage.
How about a sandwich? A quesadilla?
So once we'd run through all those options that are not there, they would drift off and make that line shorter. So that was good.
I think explaining that and just being really clear with your shoppers, like think about your own market. What is your mission? What are you there for? Maybe you are a market operator who's in a state where they don't have a very strict mask rule, or you don't think that people should be wearing masks. Certainly there are people that don't think that masks are necessary. So if that's how you're operating your market, what other guidelines are you following right now? And are you making that really clear to your shoppers? Because you'll also have, just like we have shoppers that are frustrated with us that you have to wear a mask, a handful of shoppers each time we operate. You'll also have shoppers that maybe think that it's unsafe to have a market open without people wearing masks and they won't want to come out. So just really get set with your mission and get set with your guidelines and rules and have really clear signage. Make sure your staff is all trained up and knows what to say and know what are you asking people in line, depending on how you're operating your market, and just get really clear on that.
I find that being able to explain to people why we're doing each of the things we're doing is really helpful. So making sure that your staff knows that is good. If you, like Brijet says, if you're not requiring masks, do you have a rationale for not requiring masks? Because there are going to be people, it's like the dog issue. People either really don't want you to restrict dogs or they really do want you to restrict dogs. And the mask thing's a little like that. So
didn't we get a comment on our episode last week when we were talking about our silver lining is that we don't have to deal with dogs, and someone's like, I miss dogs at my market. And I'm like, oh yeah, there certainly are people that love dogs at their market, and that is fine. That makes sense.
It is,
I mean,
funny.
Certainly we're not like dog haters, but I just feel like we have to think about that other side of it. There are just people operating in different spaces and different likes, and this isn't, I'll keep my opinion to myself, but just how are you operating your market, and what is your reason for maybe not having strict regulations about masks? Be prepared to kind of explain that.
Right, because there's going to be people on each side that want to let you know how they feel.
Certainly will, no matter what side you're on.
That's right.
And in addition to having a rationale, also having consistency. So if you're going to make a rule, make sure that you're enforcing that rule evenly across, whether it's somebody who's angry and yelling at you about that rule, or whether it's somebody, agreeing with you. So having a clear reason why you're enforcing it, and then also enforcing it consistently throughout the day.
It's kind of like any market rules, right?
Yeah.
Clear expectations, equal enforcement. That's all you can do.
Yep.
And
with your farmers and vendors too, just make sure they are all really on the same page, because it's a team now more than ever. I mean, we always were a really, tight team if you're a farmer or you're a food vendor, your market operator, but really getting on the same page about all that stuff is really important right now.
Yeah, we've had to be clear with our vendors that if they're not comfortable with the level of regulations that we have right now, it's probably not time yet for them to come back.
Yeah.
So because we do all have to be on the same page, it's not helpful for us to be telling a shopper that they have to do something and having somebody in a vendor booth saying, it's not really fair.
Yes, we did that situation. We had to say, excuse me, can you send another employee to work this booth who, even if they don't agree with it, can at least pretend to agree with it for 8 hours.
Say anything.
Yeah.
If you can't say something supportive, don't say anything at all.
Yeah, and keep your mask on, because that's the rule. Yeah.
And I'm curious on the backside of the markets, in terms of vendors reaching out to you, asking you like, hey, when can I join the market again? Or even new vendors that are crazy enough interested in launching their product into farmers markets right now. As states are starting to reopen, what are you hearing from vendors?
So it's interesting. Incredibly enough, we have a lot of people right this minute applying to be new vendors or asking what the process is to become a new vendor. We're actually going to be doing our Vendor 101 class for people that are interested in getting into markets coming up the end of this month. And I think it's going to be a big class. Yeah. People are we weren't going to do it for a while because we thought, well, it's hard to get a temporary food facility permit right now, and markets are really restricted, and the markets in our area don't have as much room as they used to. So why would we encourage somebody to learn how to be a vendor? But there's a couple of things that are happening. One, there's some longtime vendors that won't be coming back to the markets or won't come back for a long time to come. They're convinced that they can't make sales without sampling, which is not allowed right now. Or they're personally concerned about safety. It is a frontline position. You're dealing with a lot of people in the public. And so they don't want to come back. Or, I don't know, between them and their spouse or partner, they've had such a reduction in income. Some of them are moving out of state. There's just all kinds of changes that have happened for a lot of people. So we know that we're going to see some vendors that won't be back. So in fact, there will be some openings for new vendors as things develop. And then there's some potential vendors, I think, that have discovered that they weren't doing what they were passionate about. They had a day job because that was secure, more secure than starting your own business. And what a whole bunch of people just found out 8 weeks ago is
nothing's secure.
Nothing's secure. Yeah, in certain situations, any kind of job can suddenly disappear. So now they're looking on this as kind of a chance to follow their dream. It's funny. So we do have people that are interested in coming back. We have people that won't be back. And then this morning, because in our area, we're jumping ahead into the next phase of opening, which means retail stores are going to open. This morning, I had 15 emails from our crafters and artists and things saying, well, retail's opening so we can come back to the market, right? And in fact, our city hasn't said that. And we're being somewhat cautious to see if there's another flare or another spike when things start opening. We don't want to have to close the whole market down. So we're really kind of locking our market down for at least the next couple of weeks to remain an essential grocery offering kind of place, not turn it into anything that might be identified as an event. And we're just going to ride it out for a little bit and see what happens. So the city hasn't let us accept non-food vendors back to the market, and we don't really feel like we're ready for that either. We want to kind of see how it goes, but definitely the vendors are chomping at the bit to come back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And keeping in mind that if we add additional vendors, we'll have to open another block of our market. So however your market is set up, if you have different sections or different areas where you're counting people in and out, I'm just picturing that's so many more barricades. That's so much more staff we have to bring on because we're already strapped with, we're so strapped with staff, and we have so many extra people working there, and it's so exhausting. And it's just like, if we open another block, that's another minimum 3 people because you have an entrance and exit and a patroller. And it's like, that's people we have to pay, and it's people we have to count on to show up, or else we cannot have that block operational. So just the planning that goes into that is just like so much brain damage, it seems to me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because still a lot of market operators are in the situation where with the reduced footprints and the reduced categories of vendors that are acceptable and the additional staffing required for safety issues, a lot of market operators are still operating at a loss or having a really hard time covering costs. As we've expanded a little bit now, we're getting pretty close to breaking even. But I don't go to work to break even. So I'd like to actually get paid. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if other farmers market operators are noticing an uptick in applications. Also, I was thinking about this the other day, at least in San Diego, where we have so many farmers markets, but not all of them have reopened. It'll be interesting to see what markets do reopen. And if some of them don't, likely those vendors maybe will go try to get into other markets that have reopened.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that as well. So I've got people applying for spaces in our markets because their usual market still hasn't reopened. Because there's in the city of San Diego. So in our county, we've got almost 50 markets, but in the city, which has a different set of regulations than the rest of the county, I think we were running about 22 markets a week, and I think 4 of those are open now.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of markets that are closed, and some of them that are open are doing things like you pre-order a grocery box and you drive through and pick it up. So there's way limited number of vendors that are able to sell that way. So yes, we have a lot of people applying to us who don't have their usual place to go or their old place to go. And I'm not sure that some of those markets will ever reopen, honestly.
Yeah.
So the venues for those vendors to sell are limited now. we may actually, when we get started again, we may look at things like prepared food vendors and artisan vendors, maybe doing alternate weeks so that we can host more people, but we can't necessarily host the same group each week, just so that more people do have an opportunity since there's less markets.
Yeah. So as food makers or farmers, maybe if you're thinking about you're not in your market yet, or you're in just a limited amount of markets, or there's a limited amount to choose from right now, think about, what Maya was saying on our podcast a few weeks ago, like try to build your business in different ways. So maybe on those alternate weeks, you're doing your online sales and you're doing your delivery just for the time being until things, get back to somewhat normal, which could be a little while from now. Maybe think about kind of churn your wheels right now. How can I be back in markets once in a while when they're open on an alternate schedule, or be in, just a few markets as opposed to if you're doing multiple markets a week, and then get some other kind of avenue going for now, which is, online sales or kind of partnering with other vendors until the markets kind of pick back up. So it's because I've talked to other vendors and some of them are feeling really discouraged and just, when is this going to end? I'm never going to get this business back up and running. You can keep it going while we're still under these restrictions and there's still limitations. So
yeah, it's
just trying to be encouraging.
Takes a little bit more creativity and thinking a bit outside the box, but our really small entrepreneurs, our small farmers and small entrepreneurs, I mean, that's pretty much what those businesses were built on from the start, is being really creative and really resilient and thinking outside the box.
Scrappy.
Scrappy.
If you already have a small business, you already have the skills. You just got to fire them up. You guys are scrappy. You guys are creative and really resourceful. That's just what the job is. If you're in the farmers market industry in any role, in any capacity, you already have these skills.
Yeah.
So
small businesses, they're smart folk.
Yep.
Yep.
So your cities and counties might be telling you what you can and can't do right now, but working around that just takes that, creative lens. So use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my inspiration for the day.
That's right.
that was good. I felt it.
Yeah,
I want to say,
I'm going to get out there. I'm going to grow as a human being.
That pep talk was for myself as well.
Hey, sorry, you're looking at yourself in Zoom.
Yes. You can do it, Brijet. You're creative. You're scrappy. Darn it.
Yeah, because market operators, I mean, we're in the same boat. A lot of us, our normal operation doesn't make any sense anymore. There's no way to cover costs. There's no way to make it work. And we got a lot of discouraged people contacting us that we've always been in charge of nurturing. So that doesn't feel good. Yeah. But same thing. Market operators are scrappy and they're creative and they're resilient. And we just need to not necessarily be locked into how it always was and think about how it needs to be now to still provide opportunity to more people, to figure out ways to make your markets financially stable, to maybe get into a volunteer system that you didn't have before, obviously combined with professional staff so that you've got your bases covered.
Yeah.
But we just need to keep thinking and keep doing, and that's what we're good at.
Yeah. Way to go, guys.
I think that's it.
Good job, us.
That's what we're here to say.
Good job, you guys. I will say, being in the Farmers Market Pros community, our group on Facebook too, it's just been a testament to how we are as creative kind of business owner folk, just all the creative things that are happening and how it's changed. If you scroll back to March, which is a little depressing, so don't do it if you're sad, but just it's a little despair in there. But
way back when
all this stuff was everyone was what's going on? What are you guys doing? Oh no, what are you doing? What's happening in your, corner of the country? But you will see people are very encouraging to each other and they have so many ideas. It's just a brainstorming sessions left and right. And look, a lot of people are back up and running. They're opening their markets in different ways. They've started out with one strategy and switched over to another one that works better. I mean, it's an evolving thing. So it kind of made me feel better when I was scrolling back and looking at things the other day. We're flexible. Everyone's bending to what's happening. And what else are you going to do?
We bounce.
Yeah, that's right. We put on what did Maya say? We put on our big girl pants.
Yeah.
Right. Or big boy pants.
Yeah.
Big person.
Right. Big human pants. And let's go. So.
And in that nurturing thing that farmers market managers have, it's amazing to see all the managers and farmers and food folks that are encouraging each other. You'll get somebody in the Farmers Market Pros group that's sounding really bummed out and they don't know what to do next. And 3 people will pop in there to give them a little pep talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice because it's discouraging sometimes, like, oh my God, I just want to open. And like my city is kind of opening, yet we still have to meter people in, and like people are confused, and a guy yelled at me at the market, and like, it's just things are happening. So it's nice to say, you know what, that's all right. You're going to get through it. Like, try this strategy and it might get better. So, just helping each other out. It's nice.
Yep.
Yeah. So thanks, everyone. All righty. Well, we're going to wrap up our chit chat today. Let us know what's happening in your world. As usual, we love it. Are you just opening your market for the summer season? I know that's happening about now in a lot of places. So I am very interested. We're all interested in knowing how that's working for you. Have you decided to delay your opening? I know we have a market that has not reopened yet. So I know that it's, a trick sometimes to decide whether or not you're going to open. So if you're delaying opening, let us know, kind of chit chat in our group and let us know. Will you be doing online ordering and drive up markets still, even if your cities are opening back up? I mean, could be a practical approach to this. So to hear what's happening in various parts of the country, or to share what's happening in your area, which we would love, we have terrific conversations and people sharing resources over in our private Facebook group. It's called the Farmers Market Pros Community. You can find us there. Feel free to come on over, answer the 3 qualifying questions, and join that group. You can also message us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros, or email us at connect@farmersmarketpros.com. Thanks for listening to Tent Talk. Please leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you access your podcasts, and tell us how you are enjoying Tent Talk. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss our next episode. This podcast is produced by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit meets pandemic. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni Mead. Original music by David Mead. Thanks for listening.